aside from the seeking of the pleasure, the mode or the method of a first stage orientation is to unconsciousness.
Comfortably numb.
Comfortably numb, like alcohol.
Alcohol is a great comfortably numb.
So the first stage of life also has the unconscious quality to it, and so it is prone to laziness,
sleepiness, consolations. My image that kind of summarizes all of that dark side of it is a couch potato. Somebody just wants to put their feet up,
turn the
TV on, getting comfortably numb by TV, by the beer, by the potato chips. So, and a tendency to sleepiness is a partial solution to the need for the sense of unity. It's only a partial solution because it just has it's just a facsimile of that connectedness feeling. To eat something consoling, to numb the mind, to numb the body. Just it's a negative way to achieve a similar sensation of resting in the body.
I was also thinking about, since the first stage of life is associated with pleasure as a principle of individuation, in a maladapted kind of way, since we're talking about tactile and physical kind of thing, I would think that pain, or if you somehow are in a violent situation, you could associate your individuality with pain or being slapped around, and this is where we may get some kind of a adaptation to kind of the bondage or whatever, where people seek pain as a way of pleasure.
Right, exactly. That's interesting. Well, yes, we're somatically fixated. We're bodily fixated. The whole orientation of this stage is body-based, which means pleasure. Also means kinds of somatic intelligence. We can feel things in the way you were talking about. Athletes can feel the body in new ways, more sophisticated ways. This is there's good side to this too, of course. So what we're doing as we're adapting to bodily intelligence and somatic intelligence is a kind of a simple autonomy, so that we can rest as the body. We don't rest as the body unless there's a discipline brought to the urge to console. We bring a variety of kinds of harmonization to bodily engagements, and that will allow the body then to rest. And that kind of simple bodily autonomy, the classic image is the child can then run down the path without looking behind to see if mother, who was the original and core sustenance, is looking. You can go beyond that. Not by just being a willful SOB, but by the fact that you're in fullness, in rest. And therefore the mantra or the hymn of the first stager is, I can do it. Right.
Because the mother is not only the main principle with the child, as I understand it. You also have the male principle, whether you be male or female, as an incarnated character.
Challenging and nurturing.
They're challenging. So there is a natural pull, as the male principle is more of the expansive or outward movement of energy, and the female is more of the passive or the kind of
receptive, not passive.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
right.
Because so more receptive, moving this way. As the child develops, they're moving into the more of the world outward. But that's the challenge.
It is the challenge, and so we have to release our children to have a larger and larger sphere of intimacy, and it's actually psychologically damaging to overprotect your child. You do have to parents have to consciously release their children to larger spheres of intimacy.
And I just got an image of what would be as the child moves from the protection of the mother and leaps forward, the full development of that child would be actually caught in another kind of container
of community, family, larger family, or slash community, right?
So basically, there's always the supports.
Right. There's always the make connection.
The connection.
Right. You don't have to do it with the breast and feeding.
Right.
Well, so Adida points out that one of the key developmental maturations, the signs of maturation in the first stage of life, is that the bond between child and mother as two who are one is broken, so that the two can enjoy unity and relationship, but that embeddedness
Gotcha.
of mother and child together, which is utterly appropriate in the first 3 weeks of life anyway, maybe first 5 months-ish, but nevertheless, that embedded unconscious unity is outgrown. So that bond, which is, I'm saying it in a negative sense, the here or now, that bond, the embedded bondedness is broken in a greater community, full release.
I was also getting the feeling that as the snake shed the skin, it's more shedding it. It's kind of just naturally moving out of that kind of connection. And now you're just naturally moving into
a larger sphere.
A larger sphere of
connection.
Right. Because we're always connected.
Of course.
We're never separated.
We're never the separated
because
thing.
Because this is the primary illusion that we somehow bodily feel from this first
me
stage.
And everything else, right?
And we're just separate bodies, and you stop here, and I stop here.
And also our minds have on the basis of that, have a kind of naive realism. And then we think, give it to me. We don't even think about it. The bodily identification is very strong.
So in this first 0 to 7 development stage, we're now also developing language. We're developing,
which is one of those components of that simple autonomy. It would be ordinary language, and the kind that I can put on my own shoes, I am. I can do it by myself, I am. I can be explicit about what I want, I am. So the sense of identity comes from this kind of autonomy, including language. Language is a key of that.
And so in that formation of language, it's as Piaget might kind of point out, or other psychologists, it's a very concrete kind of language, and also a concrete sense of visual worldview. I mean, it's a very concrete kind of thing.
Yes, very concrete.
So
Piaget used that word, concrete.
Concrete, operational,
right.
And whatever. So, as an adult, how would you communicate? Would you do long explanation? I see people.
Exactly.
I would see people in the grocery store talking to their child, reading the ingredients on the box. Would you like this box or that box? And
or why did Charlie hit you? And long explanations. Explanations are naive on the part of the adults at this stage. Not that they're not useful, not that they should be just banned, but it's misplaced care, because they're thinking about it the way they think about it. I want somebody to explain it to me, how it feels. And that's okay as long as you are bodily engaging them. You might have that long conversation with somebody who's throwing a fit as you pick them up and hold them and say, hey, I'll give you a hug, or you're going to have to be out of the room here for a few minutes until you can give me a hug.
Right.
Until you can calm down, take a breath. Again, taking a breath is very difficult for a first stager, because it shows a kind of, you're doing something senior to the body. The body wants to go, but you are bringing a senior principle in and overriding that frantic bodily based fear with a senior principle, like a full breath. So this is a good discipline to bring and help the first stagers with, and they can't do it till about 4. But generally, as a responsibility. They can do it any time, of course, but they can start to become responsible for that around 4, so that you are always bodily oriented to their child's understanding.